Michael O'Hanlon. He's a senior fellow on foreign policy at the Brookings Institution here in Washington. Michael, I would like to begin with Michael Flynn's resignation. There was a question asked from Donald Trump at today's news conference. Let's listen, and I would like to get your reaction.
Michael Flynn, General Flynn, is a wonderful man. I think he's been treated very, very unfairly by the media, as I call it, the fake media in many cases. And I think it's really a sad thing that he was treated so badly.
A good man who was treated very badly. And once again, Donald Trump pointing the finger at the media, Michael. Your take on all this? If he's such a good man, why was he fired?
Well, thank you for the question. I know General Flynn also, and I like him also, and I respect greatly his military service. I don't think that he necessarily handled the last 2 years quite as well as he handled his military career. We all are familiar with the fact that he would actually encourage crowds to say, lock her up, and in his book about challenges facing the world, really almost equated Islam with terrorism, and that's unfortunate. And I think he had some things he needed to correct if he was going to be successful as national security advisor. But no, I don't think the media got him fired. I think Vice President Pence got him fired because Vice President Pence was lied to twice by Flynn in the short period of the post-December 29th phone call between Flynn and a key Russian official, which has been at the bottom of this whole thing. And the vice president lost his confidence in Michael Flynn. And it had very little to do with the rest of the world's opinion. It was an internal Trump administration decision, as best I can tell.
It's also opened a whole lot of questions about who knew what when. How damaging are these revelations to this Trump administration? It hasn't even been, what, a month that they've been in office?
Well, here I'm going to be fair to the Trump administration, which I'm very critical of much of what they do. But on this particular phone call, I don't see any evidence that anything particularly inappropriate happened. It may have technically violated a law, which is a bad thing, but everybody knew that Donald Trump was going to have a different approach towards Russia than Barack Obama had. And if all Flynn did on December 28th or 29th was to reaffirm that obvious reality, I don't see the damage to American foreign policy or anybody else. So I think there's been a little bit too much made of that phone call. Now, there may be other things going on in terms of previous contact before the November 8th election between the Trump campaign and Russian officials. That would be much more serious. So that may be where we have to investigate some more.
And Sean Spicer, in Wednesday's news briefing to reporters, he was very clear that General Flynn did not break the law, and this was about eroding trust.
Well, the person who lost the trust was Vice President Pence. It wasn't about us. It wasn't about the public writ large or the media. Vice President Pence felt he was lied to and then hung out to dry twice by Flynn, and that's where the problem really was.
All right, let me switch gears and talk about Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit to Washington. How much do you think this controversy, the fallout, is going to overshadow some very important discussions about one state, or in this case, two-state solution that Trump mentioned, about the settlements, about Iran?
Well, I thought it was okay today, what we heard, because President Trump said, I used to think the two-state solution was the easier one, but if the parties can agree on something else, that's fine with me. The problem is, of course, that the Palestinians are not going to agree on anything except having their own state. So Trump didn't really say anything wrong. He made it sound like there was another option, which I think there really is not, at least from a Palestinian point of view. But I think, he didn't actually set back an active negotiation. As you know, the negotiations between the Israelis and the Palestinians have had no momentum for many years. So I don't agree with the way President Trump framed it, but I'm not sure he did any harm.
Are these two men, do they see eye to eye when it comes to the nuclear agreement Iran signed with world powers?
Yes, I think they do see eye to eye. I think they both think it was a bad deal that we now have no choice but to try to make work as best we can.
All right, we'll leave it there. Michael O'Hanlon, thank you so much.